gosh. Oh, my Lord. There you are, friends and family. Glad to see you again tonight in the old little country kitchen here. Caught me just in time. I was getting ready to put dinner together today. And we've been outside working in the cold and wet weather. You know, checking on the kitty crew, picking up the yard and everything. But we still got to eat. Yeah, it's been extremely cold. Oh, the last week. And we're going to get extremely cold again tonight. Down in the lower 20s again. And with all that said, I wanted to make me up something that'd warm me up from the inside, make me feel comfortable, and remind me of better times. Because we need some of that right now. And the dish I was going to show you, even though it was similar, had a whole lot more ingredients going on in it. I was going to really load it up. In fact, what I was going to share with all of y'all is my version of loaded scalloped potatoes and ham. And I had some mighty fine ham laying out on the counter. Had all my favorite spices. All kinds of things. But the more I thought about it, and that especially with what's happening right now in America, was, you know, it almost brought me to tears. I just couldn't sit here, make a video and put it on YouTube of me preparing a dish packed full of all kinds of yummy things when so many people are going without, that are having to do with so little. I mean, you got to think about it. With the virus in 2020, people were already living the hardest times in their lifetimes. And then comes the winter of 2021, and here, through much of the South, Southwest, and Southeast, we've been hit with extreme cold that we're just not prepared for. Now, I'm prepared here, and some are, but the mass majority aren't. So many people have been without power, and because of that, they're without water. And to make things even harder now, they're going without food. Because the side effect of all this extreme cold, the snow, the ice, the power outages, is a considerable amount of perishable food, dairy, meats, cheeses, stuff of all that nature has had to be thrown away. And then the trucks aren't running, so they can't even get food, even though they might have power on now, to their local stores. So instead of showing you my loaded scalloped potatoes with ham, I got to thinking. I've had scalloped potatoes many ways during my life, from my earliest childhood, when my great-grandmother, my grandmother, even my mother made them, that changed with what we had on hand, what the season was, and how much money we had. And sometimes they only had a few ingredients. Many times they didn't have meat, didn't have any fresh veg. They were made with simple spices that they had on hand, that they cooked with every day. And that's what gave me the idea tonight, in honor of those going with so little now. I'd put together the version that we would have when times were the hardest. So, that's what we're going to show you tonight. Just basic scalloped potatoes. And what I'd like to say about scalloped potatoes is, first of all, they don't have cheese in them. That's something else that's had to be thrown away here of late because of lack of refrigeration, because of lack of power. But scalloped potatoes are made with a white sauce. And that white sauce, when times are extremely hard, can be made out of nothing more than water and flour, salt and pepper. Now you got some garlic powder, by all means throw that in too. You got some other seasonings, onion powder, you can throw that in as well. But if you don't, just water, flour, salt and pepper will get the job done, and it'll still be tasty. So we're going to go a little bit above that, but not by much. Let me show you what you're going to need for some good, belly-filling, heartwarming comfort food: scalloped potatoes. So like always, y'all, you're going to need a few things. And when I first started thinking about what to cook tonight and put the video together, like I said, this counter was chock full of ingredients. And we slimmed it on down just to the basic ingredients. And we got a few things we're going to be adding, but you really wouldn't need them. And as I go through this list of ingredients, we'll talk some about that. But the main star of the show is potatoes. Now, to make the best scalloped potatoes on the face of the planet, you're going to need russet potatoes. Yep, this fine, starchy russet potato. Why? Oh, it's going to make it way more creamy. Trust me. It really is. Now, yeah, if all you got is yellow gold, butter gold, or those red ones, yeah, you can still use them. Just won't be as creamy, and it won't taste like grandma's. And you're going to need an onion. I've got a medium to large right here, but here again, if you didn't have it, you could just forego it, and you could use some onion powder. I have it right here. You could use that. Or, if you got minced onions on hand, sorry for the shadows there, you could use that as well. And there's no better time to use your dehydrated potatoes. Remember, I got a video that shows you how to make these beautiful dehydrated potato slices that look better than store-bought. Yep, sure do. And I get questions all the time, what would you do with them? Well, making scalloped potatoes is a good thing to do with them. And since we got it on hand, we're going to be using a couple of ribs of celery. Only because it's starting to go north. Next, we're going to be using a can of evaporated milk. Now, we wouldn't have to use evaporated milk if we didn't need to or want to. Instead of using it, and we'll be adding a cup of water to it, by the way, you could use just 2 cups regular old water. Now you're going to need some black pepper, pure ground. You're going to need some salt. You're going to need, or you don't necessarily need it, but I'm going to use it for tonight, some Italian seasoning. Mama, my grandmother's always had it on hand. And then we're going to be using some garlic powder. Like I said, basic seasonings. Nothing fancy. Oh, well, we got them, as you know, up in the counter. Some cooking spray, but here again, all we're going to be doing with that is slicking up our casserole dish, so it'll be easy to clean. Yep. And you're going to need some flour. That can be all-purpose. It can be self-rising. It don't matter. Now, you also need a cutting board, and I had a viewer send me this fine new one. I guess I got tired of looking at my old cracked one. But I didn't throw it away. That was given to me by my mother when I left home the first time. Gonna need a knife, because we got to be slicing up some taters and some onion and celery. And you're gonna also need a small pot, because we got to make up what ties us all together. a delectable white sauce. And I'm going to show you how. So that's all you really need for the basic recipe. Now, like I said, if you wanted to load them up, you could throw you in some slices of fine ham. When we had it, we did. Sliced turkey works well. And on occasion, Mama would even brown up some hamburger and layer it through too. And that worked just as fine. So, you can vary it as much as you want. Load it up as much as you want. And if you want to top it with some cheese, well, that's up to you. But we're staying with the basics tonight. So, what I got to do now is I got to peel up some taters, clean up that onion, see if I can talk Trixie there into slicing potatoes, or maybe Gracie. Maybe she will. Or, you know, Trixie can do the potatoes, Gracie can do the celery. I'll do the onion. So, not going to bore you with slicing up some potatoes and onions. We're going to get that all done up, me and the kitty crew, and we'll be back when we got it ready. Well, okay, y'all. With the help of the kitty crew, well, Trixie and Gracie, went ahead and sliced up the onion. I sliced up the onion. And you know, it's only about anywhere from 1/8 to 3/16 thick. See right there? Don't gotta be perfect. And then I went ahead, sliced up the celery about the same thickness, see? Then I gave it just a coarse dice, just so I can spread it out a little bit more. Went ahead and peeled up those old russet potatoes, sliced them up too, same thickness, about 3/16. Don't gotta be perfect. Now you can use a mandolin. I just use a cutting board and knife. Some are a little bit thicker, but it'd be okay. I just don't like to do them any thinner, because when I'm doing the layering and the seasoning, and then I pour on my white sauce, it just doesn't get all throughout the potatoes. And the layering of the potatoes is one of the secrets too. Just don't dump them all in there, folks. If you layer them just right, your white sauce, when you pour it in, will migrate all throughout your potatoes. So now, all we gotta do is we gotta get our white sauce ready. And then we'll come back, drain off our potatoes in a colander. We're not gonna worry about drying them. I have a reason for that. We'll let them drain good. So now, we gotta come over here and get that white sauce going. But do that, I'm gonna have to set y'all up. Now, first thing we're gonna do is open up this evaporated milk. And somewhere, I got one of them there church keys. Yep, I found it. Stuck to the fridge. And we're just gonna, hopefully, open it. Well, you know, old church key. There, we got it. Whew, just barely. That's a pretty tough can. Whew. And we're going to take it, pour it right on over here in our pan. Yep. Now, I got me a bowl. I'll show you what I do with that. Let me take my can over there. I'm going to fill it with water. I'll fill it once. Well, I didn't quite fill it because this is 12 ounces. And that. There we go. Right there in the bowl. Got to find my whisk too. got me out my handy dandy whisk. Let's get this flour on over here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to add in 4 tablespoons flour to that water. Yep. That'll be 1. And they're level tablespoons. 3. There's 4. Just like that. Got flour on my finger. And we'll put our flour up out of the way. That was all purpose. Like I said, you could use plain. Now, we're just going to take the whisk and that, and we're going to whisk it in to that water. Yes, we are. There's one thing you don't want when making a white sauce. You don't want lumpy. Nope, you don't. We just set that over here off to the side for a second. Because now we got to get the burner going. Well, there we do. We got the burner going. We're going to let that milk heat up just a little bit. Get our water, flour mixture right here. Woo, we like to make a mess, folks. That would have been a ha-ha, wouldn't it? We're going to let that milk warm up just a little bit before we add that water and flour mixture. So now all we've done is we've warmed up that milk a touch. We're going to go ahead and give our water and our flour mixture complete mixing again to make sure everything's all incorporated nicely. Then we're just going to pour it on into that water or not the water. Pour the water and flour mixture into that milk. Just keep stirring it. And we're going to bring this whole mixture, 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 can of water, 4 tablespoons of flour, up to a nice low, and I mean low, boil. And that'll start to thicken. We don't want to get too thick, okay? It starts looking like it's getting too thick, we'll have to throw some more water in it, you know what I'm saying? So, one thing you gotta do, you gotta stay here and stir. Otherwise, you'll burn it, and it'll be ruined. While we're here, making sure we don't scorch or burn our milk, flour, and water sauce, tell you a little story. And it goes way back. I was just a little boy. We were at my grandfather's house on my daddy's side. Up in Bradford, Pennsylvania we were. That's northwest Pennsylvania. About as north as you can get without crossing over and getting in southern New York. And we'd had family dinner. And it was on a Sunday. And that being so, of course, me, my daddy, my mama, and my sister and brother were there. We didn't have the baby, Becky, at the time. But my Uncle Bill was there with his kids. My Aunt Jean, my Aunt Joyce was there. Both had their kids. Of course, my grandma and grandpa. My great-grandparents had passed by this time. And it wasn't me or my brother and sister. It was some of my aunts or uncles' children had sort of complained about what we had that day. And it was just simple fare, if I remember correctly. And that, it was scalloped potatoes. I think we had little ham on the side. Grandma made some cream peas, and we had some white bread. Yep, with butter. Just a simple meal. Times were hard then for all of us. And it upset my grandpa in a way, because he knew Grandma had worked hard on that meal. And that, of course, by this time, Grandpa was retired from the refinery. So as we were all sitting out on that big old front porch, and that, all the kids, aunts and uncles, mom and dad, my grandma and my grandpa, he started up telling a story about when they were going through the Great Depression. The refinery was shut down. Yep. In fact, most things were shut down, factories and all of that. Farmers, since there wasn't no money, they weren't doing much farming. Times were really hard. But what he told us was, it came to the fall time, and he'd been down, I guess to the local place where we went to try to find a job. Of course, couldn't find none, couldn't any work. But a farmer came by and said he needed some help in his fields harvesting some potatoes. Of course, my grandfather asked him how many he needed. He said, well, I could use as many as I could get. And he said, well, Grandpa told me, he said, you gonna be here a while? And the man said, yeah, at least an hour or so. And Grandpa said, well, let me run on back and get my two boys. Well, of course, that was my father, the oldest boy, and then my uncle, which was the next to the youngest. And he came on back. And they all got in a pickup truck and jumped on an old hay wagon that was hitched to that old truck, and they drove out in the countryside to this man's farm. And what they'd done, they'd used a converted bottom plow to plow all the potatoes up. And they were laying, you know, sort of kind of all above the ground. But they need to be picked up. And the farmer had some carts, you know, wagons with sides. They had some baskets. Grandpa said everybody got a basket. Of course, what they did, they went out in that field and they were picking up those potatoes, putting them in the baskets, dumping them in those carts. And they worked from early that morning till the sun went down. When it came time to pay them, you know, the farmer said he didn't have any money. Of course, he'd already told them what they were going to get paid in. And what they got paid was in potatoes. Yep. Now, Grandpa was sort of thinking he was going to get him 50 pounds of potatoes that day. Very least. But what the farmer paid him was 10 pounds a man. Yep. 10 pounds of potatoes. And that's what my grandfather brought home that day. 10 pounds for him, 10 pounds for my daddy, 10 pounds for my Uncle Bill. They had 30 pounds all together. And of course, they got them out of the truck, took them on in the house. And Grandma was in the kitchen, getting ready to cook up dinner. And she asked him, you know, how much money he'd made. Said, well, Ruby, I didn't make no money. but I got her some potatoes. And I showed her the 3 bags, 10 pounds in a bag. And you could tell Grandma was a little bit saddened by that. But she was a very religious, faithful woman. And what Grandpa said, you know, well, that's still a blessing, John. John was my grandfather's name. And she said, well, I was wondering what I was going to cook tonight for dinner. We didn't have much. Some dried beef, a few potatoes, an onion or 2. But I think now I can make us up a big pan of scalloped potatoes. My grandpa was sitting there looking at my cousins, and he said, you know, we were grateful to have them potatoes. It was a real true blessing. And I know you kids don't appreciate food no more, because you don't have to work for it. Parents work, and then they go to the store and buy all their food. But back then, we were grateful for those 30 pounds of potatoes. I understood what he meant, because I was probably, around 8 at the time. And I worked with my daddy every spare job he could get. Worked in our gardens every day, after school and on weekends, because we had tough times then too. So every time I make this up, I sort of remember that story. My grandpa and my daddy and his brother going out there and working all day long to dark for that 30 pounds of potatoes. And I know right now, if a farmer came and asked somebody, would you come on out and help me harvest my potatoes? People would say no. They probably wouldn't even ask how many potatoes they were going to get. They'd ask, you know, what they were going to get paid and that. And if a farmer told them, well, you know, you can have your 20, 50 pounds of potatoes, I'm sure he wouldn't like the response. But, you know, the way things are in America right now, it may come back to that one day. But let me show you this sauce. So you probably can't see it. Let me turn her down on low, because it's came up. See it thickening right on up there? You see that? Steaming a little. That'll be plenty good enough right there. So now we're ready to take our casserole dish, slap it over here on the counter, and got our white sauce ready. And that. And let's start getting this all together. Okay? So y'all, I went ahead, got my casserole dish here, drained off my taters, and I'm going to take these potatoes, I'm going to lay me a layer down here in the bottom, but I'm going to put them up on the edge there. Yep. And there's a reason for my madness. So they're propped up on the potato, just like that. Yep. And this is all you do. Just keep putting them potato slices in there. Now I know some people say, well, they just dump theirs on in there, it all sort of works out. Well, yeah, you can do that if you want. This way Mama always did it, Grandma. And they had a reason for it. And you might be wondering, well, what's the reason? Well, the reason You prop them up on each other. It's so when you pour that sauce in, it's going to migrate all over those and through those potatoes. Every potato's going to be bathed in that white sauce. And that's going to be important to the finished dish. Just like that. So let me show y'all. You see how I got them right here propped up on the next one? Yeah. Yep, they're sort of angled in there on top of each other. Like I say, that's to allow that sauce to permeate all throughout the layers of potatoes. Yep, sure is. Now what we're going to do, is add some seasoning. We're going to take our salt. Like I say, there ain't a whole lot of measuring going on here. We're just going to liberally salt those potatoes down. Remember, potatoes soak up a lot of salt. Then we're going to take a pepper shaker and we're going to sprinkle some pepper in there, just like that. Then we're going to do the same. Just a light shaking of that garlic. Yep. Just like that. Now we're going to get us some this Italian seasoning. And we're just going to give it a light shaking too. Okay? Just like that. Then we're going to take a little bit of this celery. Yep. And we're just going to sprinkle it over the top of those 2 layers of taters. Don't got to be precise. If you don't like celery, don't put it in there. But you're going to be missing out. I'm just saying. And next, we're not going to lay these whole slices of onion. Nope. We're going to ring them here. And lay them on in there. See? Uh-oh. Had 2 rings right there. That'll be plenty enough potatoes and onions for that layer. Plenty of flavor. You know how much I love onions. Now if you want to have diced onions, you can do that as well. So we got our first layer built. Let me show you. Right there's our first layer. Okay? But we're not done yet. Now, I know this bottle says onion powder, but it's actually flour in there. And we're going to sprinkle just a light sprinkling of flour on top of that. Yep, take our onion powder, saved shaker. Just sprinkle a little, don't take a whole lot. You know, sort of look like the snow we got the other day. Okay. That's going to help bind those spices. Trust me. Now we go back with another layer of potatoes. Right on top. Go through the same madness. Here again, we're going to want a lot of gaps so that flour, milk, and water mixture, you know, our white sauce, permeates all throughout this delicious dish. There's our first layer of taters. We'll come back with a second layer, doing the same thing. There we have our second layer of potatoes in there. Sprinkle some more of that fine celery all over it. And then we'll throw us in some more of these here onion slices, we will. Right on top. Now I think that'll be enough. And we had some leftover onion and a little leftover celery. Oop, almost missed a tater. But that's okay. Now, we'll just go back in there, hit it with some more salt, liberally, some more pepper, trust me. Okay. A little bit of that there garlic powder. Don't take a lot. No, garlic powder is way stronger than even minced garlic or fresh garlic. And we'll just top it with a little sprinkling of flour, just like that. You might say, well, why? Like I say, every place that flour hits those wet taters and other veggies, you know, the onion and the celery, it'll blend in there. And that, and we almost forgot a little more sprinkle of our Italian seasoning. Old Mr. Tom getting tired. Plus he's way past hungry. Now, we're going to get our white sauce. Yep. You might say, well, why didn't I season up the white sauce? Well, I could have done that. You can put all your seasoning in there. But then I never know where it all winds up. This way, I sort of know where I put it. And that. And then what you want to do, just pick a place and just ever so slowly start pouring it in. Okay? And then we're going to pour a little bit, drizzle it on the top. Just like that. Now if you just get real rambunctious, dump it all in there, you wash off all your seasoning from this layer, and you don't want to do that. I got to rinse out my pan. So this is what it looks like when it's all finished. Now if you were going to put some cheese on it, don't put it yet. Because this has got to go in the oven. Set at 350, 45 minutes. We're going to cover it with some foil. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back once 45 minutes is up, and we're going to check the tenderness of those taters with a fork. And if they're nice and tender, we're going to take the cover back off. We're going to stick it back in the oven and let it brown on top. And it would be at that time, if you so desire, to top it with cheese you can. Okay? Well, y'all, we got our little 8x8 glass casserole dish all covered up with some of that there fancy tin foil or aluminum foil. We got our toaster oven heated up. Yep, we do. Now all we gotta do is get this in there. Now I ain't gonna be able to do that. I'm trying to hold all of y'all and manipulate that casserole into that oven. So hold on a minute. So there you have it. We got it on in the old toaster oven. Whew, and that door's hot too, because I just touched it. Now that oven was preheated to 350 degrees. Now we're just going to close it off in there, set a timer for 45 minutes, and we'll come back, check how tender those potatoes are doing. Okay? Y'all can go back in the den. Have some cheese and summer sausage I cut up for y'all. Some of that nice green tea. Okay? Well, y'all, we're back at the toaster oven here. Timer went off. Woo! Look at that. She's just bubbling away in there. Now we got to get them out. Okay? Now I can't hold all of y'all while I get that out. Nuh-uh. It's going to take two hands. It surely is. So let me set y'all up. And I'll grab this on out of this here toaster oven and bring it on over to the counter. Woo! We got that jewel out. Woo! And always peel your foil off away from you. Because I don't know if y'all can see it. There's a whole lot of steam coming out of that thing. But it's got the house smelling nice. Must be. Gracie's in the kitchen staring up at me. I've got to get me one of them official doneness checkers. Fork. And we're just going to stab some taters here. Let's see. Yeah. They go a little bit longer, I'm thinking. It's going through. But it's still a little resistance. I'm going to try one right here, if y'all don't mind. Got to blow on it some. They need to go a little bit longer. Still got a little more bite than what I want. So we're going to throw the old foil back on. Take them over there. Ooh, that thing's hot. And stick them back in the toaster oven. Yes, sir. Okay? So let me get these on back over in there. We'll give it another 20 minutes. And we'll come back and give it another check. Now, I should have known that. I'm so used to cooking in my big oven when the family was all here. If you don't know, a lot of times, I don't know why, but a toaster oven don't cook as quick as a big gas oven, even at the same temperature. And if you know why, you let me know. Being an engineer, I think it's something about mass. Okay, let me get these back in that oven. Well, we stuck it in there for another 20 minutes. Woo, Lord, that is hot. There's no doubt about it. Fogging up my glasses, it is. Now, we'll take our official doneness checker. Oh yeah, slides in there. So nice. So the only thing left is stick it back in, set that oven on broil, and allow it to brown that top some. Let me bring you over here, show you what it looks like right now. Ooh, you see it right now? And you can't believe the smell. It's got Gracie and Trixie back in the kitchen here in the late evening. As soon as Gracie smelled it in the house, She won't leave my side. And it even woke up Trix. So I'm going to take it, slide her back on in the toaster oven, set her on broil for about 15 minutes. See if we can't brown it up a little bit. And that'll also allow some of that sauce to evaporate off and thicken up. Okay? So y'all, there it is. Went and got it out of the old toaster oven after 15 minutes on broil, and it's just starting to brown up a touch. Now, I wasn't going to put no cheese on top, but I overheard y'all talking, saying, well, he should put some cheese on there. If I was doing it, I'd have cheese. Well, if I got some cheese, I'll throw it on there and we'll stick it back in there so that cheese just melts, okay? So hold on, let me see if I got any. Well, we're in luck. Just so happens, got a partial bag and another bag of Italian 6-cheese blend, okay? So, just to make y'all happy, I'm gonna throw some cheese on top. Since I have it here, make it just a little bit fancier for y'all. We'll open up that other bag. Throw a touch more, okay? Woo. Now if this don't make it more yummier for y'all, then I don't know what is. Okay? There y'all go. We put us on some Italian 6-cheese blend, okay? Now I gotta pop her back in the toaster oven. Melt that cheese. Well y'all, I stuck it back in there for about 10 more minutes on broil after I put that 6-cheese blend on it. Let me show you what we got now. Ooh, look at there. Now if that ain't beautiful enough for you, I don't know what is. And what we're going to be having with it, we're going to be having just some plain old canned peas. Yep, great value. A little salt and pepper. Yep, just like back in the day. And some buttered white loaf bread. Oh yeah, just like I had back with my grandparents. A simple meal. Now this has got to cool some before we can cut a slice off in there and plate it on up. But I'm going to tell you, that looks good or better than anything old Betty Crocker ever put out. Or Good Housekeeping. And I'm already going to tell you, it's going to taste delicioso for sure. But as soon as we're ready to get a slice on out of there, plate her all up, we'll let y'all start lining up, grabbing your plates, and serve you up some too. Well y'all, we let her cool down a bit. So now all we got left to do is cut us out a slice and plate it on up. We do. We can get her on out of here. Oh yeah. Woo. Look at that, look at that. Oh yeah. Don't know if y'all can see that. I know you can't smell it. But that is mighty fine. Sure is. I'm gonna set this over on the oven. Ooh, let's get some of these peas and bring them on over. What y'all say? Y'all might not like these green peas, but don't nothing go better with taters, in my mind, than green peas. Oh yeah. I am hungry. It is late at night. Put on some nice green peas there. And we're going to grab us some of that buttered white loaf bread that we cut fancy, see? Stick her right there. That's our plate. let me show it to you. Well, there's the finished plate. Our basic scalloped potatoes with a little bit of 6 cheese blend on top, I tell you on. Some good old canned green peas, just salt and pepper. And our poor folk white loaf bread butter. And that's my meal tonight. And I know to many it's not much, but like I said in the beginning of this video, for so many people in America, especially now, they don't even have this. This would be mighty fine. Fill them up, keep them going for another day. And I'm proud I have it. So all they got to do now is do a taste test. Okay? So let's give those scalloped potatoes a test and see if we like them. Yeah, I went and got a spoon. Sort of easier to eat with a spoon than a fork. Look at the creaminess right there. Okay? Those onions are so tender. So are those potatoes. Ooh, look at that, look at that, look at that. That's looking fine. And it's smelling fine. Gonna have to blow on this baby some still, because it's mighty hot. See all that steam coming on? Let me blow on it a bit before we stick it in the old mouth and burn the hide off the tongue. Well, y'all, bon appetit, as they say. Oh yeah. Well, that's mighty fine. Those potatoes are just so tender. The onions just almost melt in your mouth. The flavors. You can taste that hint of garlic. The Italian seasoning. Of course, got plenty of salt. And that sauce turned out all so creamy. Well, I hope y'all liked our video tonight. We're putting together just some basic scalloped potatoes. It's hard time food. In a time, here in America now again, it's hard for so many millions all throughout this great nation. I do hope you'll give them a recipe a try. I'll put the ingredients below the video in the description. And that. And as always, y'all need to be praying for those people throughout our nation that are suffering through this extreme weather event. Extreme cold, snow and ice in so many areas across our country, and in so many that haven't seen it in their lifetimes. Till old Mr. Tom see you on the next video. Y'all take care. Stay safe out there. And may God bless you, your family, your friends, and your loved ones. Goodbye for now. Woo! I gotta take this in on to the desk. Take a look at YouTube. Fill my belly. And this has been a long time coming. Oh yeah. It surely has. I'm coming, Gracie.